This is going to be a tale of three Rolleies. This Rolleiflex Automats pretty much started this current Rolleie saga. I was interested in the original Carl Zeiss Jena Tessars lenses just to see how they are. I haven't had one on a Rolleiflex that I recall. I've had the Opton Tessars from West Germany, and later those were just called Carl Zeiss Tessars, which makes it a little confusing. But my friend Jim sent this very beat up camera to me because it had a coated Carl Zeiss Jena Tessars that those were only available for a few years after the war. The pre-war ones were uncoated. I'm curious to try either. And he also sent these two Rolleie cords along with it. These two cameras, I think, came from the same person. They just were worn the same. Jim doesn't remember. People gave him stuff. He worked in the camera stores for years and years, and they'd give him broken cameras and cameras they weren't interested in anymore. And these were pretty rough. They had both had flash sync added. They had these screws sticking up that were really supposed to take a solenoid, which pulled this lever that was added to trip the shutter. If I'd had the parts, I would have left it on there. It'd be kind of neat to try one. This was all mangled. I think they had to bend things to make stuff fit and fix things as best I could, and it works very nicely now. Everything's lubricated. I've been in here, the shutter, the focus, just right. The trouble is, that lens acts like it has fairly bad haze. It's sharp, but it flares like crazy. I'll show you some pictures. I've cleaned it as best I can. Maybe somebody else could make it work better, but it doesn't look bad. It doesn't make pictures that suit me. Once in a while they look really cool, but it's not reliable. So that one just kind of sadly got set aside. But these two were kind of an accident. My friend just threw them in. They're both Rolleie Cord 2s. They're essentially the same camera with different trim. They went from this nameplate, just a thin sheet metal printed thing, to this cast one. And late 30s, both uncoated triplet lenses, Carl Zeiss Jena Triatars. And I was also curious about those lenses. These cameras I did a lot of work on too. This one is pretty rugged, had screws missing here. And by the way, those screw holes go clear through into the film chamber. You might or might not get light leaks because of the paper backing, but good to have all the screws in there. I found something that worked. I've gone over this and it really doesn't look that bad now. It was just, sort of mangled like this one with the posts and everything. These two cameras are working nice now, and I got the lenses clean. I had them apart 4 or 5 times, I think, just polishing and cleaning, and being uncoated lenses, you could really go over them. These both cleaned up very nicely and work very well. I'm very happy with them. They have good contrast. In some ways, they feel like they have better contrast than the coated Xenars on the later Rolleies I've got here. I'm sure they wouldn't handle as well into the sun or something, but they have a nice look. I really like them. I wish these had come on a Rolleiflex at some time because I like the Rolleiflex better than the Rolleie Cord. I'm 100% happy with these Triatar lenses. I got the shutters working nicely. Here's 1 second. Now we get to the complaint I have about almost all of the Rolleies of this era. These older hoods, and there are exceptions, they do not have a sports finder, which I kind of like to have. You don't use it a lot, but you need it. They had a little mirror. This flap comes up, a mirror drops down. You're looking through the magnifier, which is floppy, so it doesn't, if you point it down, it often doesn't work right. Looking at a mirror image of the ground glass, which is already very dim. The magnifier doesn't always stay up nicely. I'm sure they worked fine when they were new, but I like the bigger magnifiers that came later, and especially the ones that blocked a lot of the light. I did find a solution. These were an accessory sold at the time. Different brands, I think, and it's a magnifier that fits over the hood. It's a nice view. You can see the whole screen magnified, but the big thing for me is it blocks out the light. Even the later Rolleicords I find very challenging in bright light when it's coming from the side. This blocks out the light and makes the whole thing just really nice and usable, but you could probably just make these with a magnifier. That makes a big difference. The other accessory I think you really want for these cameras is the hood. The original hood's very nice, and there's 3D printed ones now. So I can put a filter on and then put this back over it. The other issue you hear an awful lot about is dim focusing screens, and it's the truth. Now, we've got a nice comparison here. This one is the original screen with a Fresnel or field lens under it. This was a popular modification at the time. I don't think Rollei offered it yet then. This has that, and what it does is it evens out the light so that the edges aren't dark. With the original screen, it is very hard to see the edges of your picture. That drives me crazy. Might not bother you. This has the original screen but no Fresnel, and it's dark at the edges. I'm going to put a picture up like this, side by side. You can see the difference in the edges. Then I've put a bright screen in here, and you'll see the difference with that, and it's pretty remarkable. When you change any screen in one of these, you want to check that the focus is still correct. It's nice to have it so it stops at infinity, and that's just a simple nut you can adjust under here. But you don't have to do that. As long as you get the two matching exactly, you'll be good. Your pictures will be in focus and you'll be good to go. Well, this is my messy camera repair workspace, but I wanted to show you my collimator. There's also a couple shutter testers here. This one is handy for leaf shutters like in a Rollei. This Rolleicord is set up to project a target through the open lens onto film that's in the camera with an infinity light source. That's what collimated light is. And you can see it through this eyepiece and check your infinity focus. And then you can slide it over and view that same target. That lets you check infinity focus on the viewing lens. So let's see what we can get with these old cameras. I really like using these. I was surprised. I wasn't at least a bit enthused when they showed up. Seemed very crude. This ended up being a disappointment, but I'll show you a few pictures from this. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and there's some, you could always replace the lens if you had to. Swap a lens out. Well, I've been showing you pictures all along that I took as I was working on these cameras. As I cleaned the lenses, I would shoot more test shots and stuff. But I wanted to shoot a fresh roll in each and see how they're doing. They came out nicely, and I'll show you some pictures from these two rolls. So I took the older Rolleicord 2, I think they call it a Type 2, and shot a roll of Portra in that and developed it in black and white chemistry. I get a black and white image to scan. And I put a roll of Verichrome pan in the Type 3, I think they call it, a slightly newer Rolleicord 2. I think they're 1938 and 1939. Essentially the same camera. I hope you're enjoying this Rollei saga. I am, and thank you for watching.